So, good morning once again to Cute for Teams, champions using teams effectively. Hopefully, you're in the right place. If you're not, you might as well just stay with us and hang out. We're here to geek out on teams and collaboration, and feel free to come here to ask any questions you might have, not just of me, but also your peers that are here. Um, so, call it an open office hours, ask me anything, that kind of thing. I'm your host, Ricardo Wilkins, resident Teams geek. Um, Stacy, the other geek, may be joining. I'm not sure. Actually, she may be tied up in another call. But with that said, we can certainly dive in, start chatting about whatever we need to. What I did want to just kick things off with, at least initially, is just to make sure you're aware of, because last week, I think was mentioned Ignite, which just recently occurred. And I want to make sure you're aware of the book of news that always gets created for the big conferences and things. So there is a book of news for Ignite 2022, for which this audience is probably most interested in coming to the table of contents and scrolling down to the Microsoft 365 section and then the Teams area. So in theory, this is a one-stop shop for, getting up to speed on what was announced related to Teams. May not be entirely comprehensive. I mean, there was a lot of things announced, but we do have this here. So it looks like about 10 key things that were announced, at Ignite, and those are all listed here. And certainly, if you're interested in other things, as you can kind of see, everything from Azure, Biz Apps, everything is there. So if you have interest in other things, this is the place to go. I think you can see the URL there, or just search Ignite 22 Book of News, and you'll find it nice and easy. So I don't know if anybody had looked at this or have been thinking about the Ignite announcement since they came out, and if any of these were of particular interest to you. As I was looking through them, I mean, it just range all over. The only one that really caught my eye, kind of, for this audience, based on the kind of things we talk about, is where is it? I think it was the one about the changes to channels. Which one am I in the right? Oh, I'm not in the right section. I want it to be in Teams, yeah. And then I believe it's this one. No, I don't think it's that one. Improve channel experience. And so there's a little bit here, but one of the things you may noticed here, the compose box at the top of the page, and I essentially think it's a change of the UI to make things read from top to bottom more so than new things at the bottom. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Yeah. So small change, but maybe a big change. I don't know if that was like I don't know if anybody saw that or thought that might be a huge deal as you're supporting users or thinking about training or whatever. I mean, it's been things at the bottom for so long. I mean, I'm certainly one that's fine with change. I'm not the one that needs everything to stay the same forever. But that one seemed big. I in my mind, I think it's probably going to be nice. But that was the one I thought that this audience might have a comment on. So anyway, but yeah, changes to that channel UI. They talk about pin posts, popping out the convo, things like that, customizable channel headers. So some interesting things there that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that works out. So, but yeah, with that said, again, just letting you know that this is here for all of your, because it can be hard to keep up to date with all the Ignite stuff. So I think that's why they do these book of news to make that easier for you. So hopefully that's helpful. So just thought I'd let you know about that. Certainly open to any comment on that or any questions you came here dying to ask and talk about. So feel free to use the chat or come off mute if you've got a question or comment. Awesome. Okay. Cool. So outside of that, just trying to think if there were other newer features that are hitting specifically GCC these days. And I usually, if you're not, using it, the aka.ms/teams roadmap weekly update is the new updated URL, new updated look for the roadmap that Stacy and team, puts together. So this is probably your best resource for staying up on things, including, including links to the roadmap. The roadmap is certainly it, but because of, where Stacy sits in terms of working with different internal teams, I would imagine this is probably the most accurate, maybe real time view here. So definitely keep that link handy. Any particular new feature out there that anybody has been using or waiting for? Quiet group today.
I'll jump in, Ricardo.
Yeah.
Is there a way to change its Outlook? But in Outlook, when you make a new meeting, it makes it a Teams meeting by default. It just throws the junk in, and you could strip it all out. Is there a way to change the default of that so unless you specifically tell it to be a Teams meeting?
So you are talking specifically the Outlook desktop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know that is, I know where that option is in Outlook Web. So you're saying a new invite, or you see a new meeting, and so in this case, so we're already seeing probably the answer is yes, because in this case, mine did not do it by default. The button's here, and it has now turned it into a Teams meeting, which, yep, and there's the info. And then I thought there was a button to take that offline.
The
don't host online.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to know if there's where that feature is to make it come up like yours.
Right. Now, so let's see. I was thinking it was in the Outlook web interface, but I wouldn't imagine that would carry over. But let's check that real quick to see. And if anybody else on the line knows, feel free to let me know. But let me just see what my Outlook web settings say. Go here. And then the settings, Outlook settings. And then I think that would be calendar, invites. So mine is checked to add online meeting to all meetings. So then clearly these two are not related, because certainly my Outlook desktop did not do that. So that is a good question where that would be located. My first thought would be to go, again, I'm just guessing you've already gone this route. The options here, calendar. So add online meeting to all meetings. In my case, I haven't, so mine is set to not do it, and it's asking for an add meeting provider. So there's my checkbox, which in theory is going to make, so it's acting like it doesn't even know what Teams is, but clearly it does. But in theory, that's going to make the change. So let's just try that. So now
where was that at again? I'm trying
that was file, options all the way at the bottom,
and
then calendar. And there's your add online meeting to all options, which
I got the add meeting provider as well.
Right. Click in there, and there's a checkbox. I really feel like that checkbox should have been out on that level, but in any case, hopefully yours is currently checked, which would explain your Teams meetings being in there by
It
default.
was. Let me
Okay.
check that right now.
Yeah.
So if I do a new meeting,
Yeah. For me, it did do what
yep, that's what it
yeah.
does.
Yep.
I'm gonna share that out. We ran into someone making placeholder meetings
Mm-hmm.
that inside the placeholder she was putting the a live event link,
Mm-hmm.
but people were joining the placeholder meeting.
Yeah.
So cool.
What is also interesting about that question is the relationship, or maybe the lack thereof, of Outlook. I'll say specifically Outlook Desktop, or maybe Outlook in general, and Teams meetings. In the past, I've described Outlook's participation in that meeting invite as purely the vehicle by which I'm just sending a hyperlink to a meeting to a user. That Outlook doesn't really know Teams any more than that. It's a place I go to grab a link and I just pop it in the body. But I think through y'all's usage, you can kind of see that um, Outlook is aware, and I don't know if I've got a meeting here. Let's see. It is aware of Teams, like it's aware of Teams from the perspective of it knows this is not just a meeting invite with some text in it that happens to be a hyperlink to a meeting. The fact that it has this join Teams meeting link there tells me that Outlook does know specifically what a Teams meeting is and when it's in the invite. So that can be interesting because I have certainly had meeting invites that have the text of it in there, but I don't get the nice join Teams meeting. And this button really surfaces a bunch of different places. If you're in your Teams calendar, you're going to see a meeting there. And then for those of you on Windows 11, I don't know if you've tried to use the widget. Um, it shows your calendar, but among other things, I use it as an easy place to join meetings. If I were closer to this meeting time, I would have a join button right there as well, for convenience. So that's kind of, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm in Teams or not, to be 2 clicks away, 1, 2 clicks away from joining a meeting through the Windows 11 widget is nice. So that's an interesting one. And for those that, are training users on Teams and Outlook and things like that, could be a confusing one, because the other side of that conversation is that people then put a lot of importance on their Outlook meeting and forget that, really managing that meeting is, let's go over to Teams and do that, because Outlook has only a small coupling, or a light coupling to Teams. It is not the place to manage your team stuff. It's primarily just the deliverer of that link. So it's an interest, it's one that's for the most part we ignore. It's just, it all just works, but every now and then it gets a little complicated. So I don't know if anybody's experienced that.
We have a lot of people that turn on the to-do bar and then show their calendar, and then it'll show the appointments for the day, and it'll put a join now below team meetings for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where a lot of people get them from Outlook.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a big fan of the little sidebar here for not meetings. So you're right, it'll show up there as well. And of course, the join button is there. That's also challenging when you're trying to rip out the meeting info of something, and sometimes it does not want to leave. You have to end up recreating a new invite, all that good stuff. So cool. Once again, if I haven't said it before, I am still a big fan of the Outlook, the web version of Outlook. I know the desktop has been king for many decades. I am a fan of Outlook. I use it 93% of the time. I come to the desktop for three things that the desktop does that the Outlook doesn't. But if you haven't tried Outlook Web, you should. Also because we're expecting some convergence of those anyway. You'll be using it eventually to some degree as those features start to converge. For now, it's a very conscious decision, desktop or web. It'll be a gray area soon. If you're an Outlook web fan, just hit me with a thumbs up so I can see my fellow fans. Wow, pure Outlook desktop users all throughout this room. I feel so alone. Okay, I see one there. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think I've said it in a previous session. If nothing else, come in here for using pinning and for using snoozing. Those are the two right now that are killer for workflow and with your mail and Outlook. So make sure I'm not missing anything in chat here. I think I am missing some things. So got pure desktop users. Okay. Curious if there'll be a setting tied to that, so admins, channel owners could adjust back to the chat reference in the chat to our previous conversation about the change in the channel meetings. Yeah, right. You're right. So if they do flip it, is there anything to flip it back?
Right.
I
I
almost
could see
hope
end
not.
users throwing up their arms at times, right?
Yeah, I almost hope not. I personally like when we kind of just go all in and say this is how it should be, because then of course I guess depending on how they would do that, in your org you'd have some users doing it one way and the other, and for trainers out there that'd be a nightmare.
One thing I had come up, Ricardo, is I don't believe this feature exists in any collaboration platform, but breakout rooms with dial-in callers.
Okay, so having audio conferencing in the breakout room.
A phone caller. Yeah, not using the app. I haven't seen anything on any platform, but it was something that came up as a curiosity from a customer of mine.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And of course, you never know what, we did announce the Teams premium stuff. I don't, you never know what, would come from that. If it was me, that would be a nice thing to add to the premium SKU. But yeah, I can kind of see why they haven't done that. Those breakout rooms are kind of so short and ad hoc to throw a dial-up, but I could also see why a user would want it too. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, at a high level, it seems simple, but I'm sure there's some bits and bytes magic that makes it very difficult.
Yeah. And then I see you mentioned in chat about the videos embedded in PowerPoint Live not working. And I think because I remember you mentioned that to me. I feel like I tested it in commercial and it was working. So maybe I take that back. Maybe I didn't go. Let me just check real quick here. Go to my commercial tenant. So what's being mentioned here is a meeting where and I'll fire up a meeting here where you have a PowerPoint with embedded video, which I believe I do share. I think it's this one here. And what you are seeing here, Amanda, is this one, it's got video that did auto start. There's a little video clip or something in there, but yeah, it seems to be working in commercial. So if still not working for you, then it must be a GCC thing. I haven't personally seen reported that just yet. So hopefully you guys have submitted a ticket for it to kind of get that conversation started. But I think this is what you're expecting it to do, right? A slide with an embedded video set to autoplay that does so when you're showing it in PowerPoint Live. So Yep, so that's what it used to do. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely something going on there for the GCC or your tenant. But I'd like to say more so GCC because I thought I tried it when you asked about that. I thought I tried it in my GCC tenant and saw your same results. So yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Okay. Yes, Glenn had an interesting comment about Brandon, about your that breakout room dial in. If they dial in the main and then get pushed to a breakout, what happens there?
Doesn't
Or can
work. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking as I'm thinking through
They have
that.
to
Yeah,
use the app or the web client.
that's right. Yeah,
And that's consistent again against all platforms that have breakout rooms, whether it be
yeah.
Zoom or GoToMeeting. There's got to be something on the telephone aspect that makes that challenging.
Yeah. And then of course anybody that really needs that feature, then they can kind of go old school and just pre-create full-blown meetings and find a way to give that
Right. Join this
breakout
one,
room.
right? Yeah.
Right. Then they can have everything they want. All they lose is the convenience of that breakout room and bring them back and move them around kind of thing. So in that case, old school fixes the problem. Glenn asked about the best way to have multiple presenters operate the same PowerPoint. And I think the general answer to that one would be, let's see if I can simulate that with just myself in here, but there is a give control or take control button that shows up for PowerPoint Live. Go ahead and fire this up. Share. It may want me to have another person in, and this is also going to show Amanda that mine works the same as yours. So as you can see, this isn't doing what our commercial one is doing. No autoplay. So I got the same results you got. But I probably need to add another person to get this. But what would normally be here is a take control or give control or something like that at the top. So to your question, that is the way to have multiple presenters operate the same PowerPoint. When it's their turn to talk, they take over and then they get to move it forward. And in fact, I would recommend that as a best practice for what I call elegant meetings, right? Those elegant meetings being, we should no longer need to have meetings where people are off mute and I got to say, please be quiet and blah, blah, blah. I'll just control your mics and control your cameras. I also don't have to have a meeting where I say, hey, can you go to the next slide? And then I'm kind of awkwardly waiting for you to hit the button. We don't have to do that either. Give you control. You go at your own pace as well. So to me, this concept of this give or take control is in line with having a better, more effective, smoother meeting experience. Yeah, I think I need another person here for this thing to actually show that. And maybe I can, actually, I think I can do that quickly. Meeting info. I will copy the link, come over to my other persona. Let's go with Nestor. Pop that in there. Let it think about it. Continue on this browser. I don't know if browser users can do the, we'll see. And this is an external user too. I probably should show someone different, but let's see what happens. Join the meeting. Eventually. Come on, man. Continue on this browser. It's not, oh, there we go. I was going to say it's not cooperating, but let's see what happens here. Got a browser user. See, so there we go. Browser user Nestor is watching the meeting, wants to take control of the slides. This is the slide of one. So but I'll hit take control. Essentially, they now have control. As you can kind of see, the arrows come to life. And if I come back over to Ricardo here. Now I've got take control, essentially take back control, which I've done. So I was able to show it then there, even for a browser user. That's the experience of letting the presenter go through the slides on their own. It's just that pure take or give control. I will say I have seen orgs who disable that. Maybe they disable it for external users or something like that, but I have seen that be disabled at times. So check, if you're not an admin, check with your, if it's not working the way you expect, you may want to check with the admins to see what they've done there. But that would be my answer to that. So hopefully that's a good answer. Checking the chat here. Need a multiple of the video play problem. Yep. What is nice? What is nice is whoever has control also gets to see their speaker notes. Yep. Which is there. I will also say from a PowerPoint Live perspective, you know when your PowerPoint has notes that you want the controller to see, right? And/or, I mean, I've had PowerPoints that have hidden slides that I have no intention of sharing with the audience. And when that's the case, you will want to, what I end up doing is PowerPoint Live and then very quickly go into private view, which is going to disable the user's ability to go through the slides themselves. Because if they have that ability, now they're able to come into the, thumbnail view and see everything there and go to hidden slides that I, may not wanted them to see. So just be aware of your presentation. I certainly love when users can go through it, but again, some of my presentations have extra stuff in it, and so I will quickly jump on the private view in that case. But otherwise, staying off of private view lets them have the ability to go through, which is if you're ever wondering why do I care if users can do that. One scenario that I use a lot is if I join a meeting a few minutes late and they're on slide 3, to go back and see what the other 2, slides were that I missed. I've also used that. It's kind of funny, but I've used that in meetings where our presenters really taking a long time to get to the point, to the meat of, what they're talking about. So I skip ahead and I end up seeing the money slide that I've been waiting on. And depending on how busy I am, I read that info and then I'm on to the next thing. So yeah, but PowerPoint Live empowers me as a meeting attendee to be able to do that if they're not in private view. So yeah, I don't know if those were being late and being bored of what the presenter's doing. I don't know if those are the true scenarios that we intended for that feature, but it works for me. So good stuff there. Stop that. All right. Any other last thoughts, questions, comments as we wrap up here? Awesome. Okay, I see some typing happening, but otherwise, good to see you all again. Hope this is useful. Recording will be on the YouTube playlist. Don't forget about Coffee for Teams. I'm actually doing a series of going back to the basics for chat files and settings in Teams. So if that's of interest, you may want to check me out Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Trying to keep that schedule up. So, and of course, they're all online after the fact. So, good stuff. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.